having a test method for the me function, so that a particular user can get the current user and also, you know, set it up and everything. So for the me, what we will need to do is that let's set up our describe, but let's just take our sign in describe here, so we can just get it here. It will be much faster if we'll do it like this. So in here we have our sign in, which is which we copied here. So we'll set this up to me. So we're gonna say API/auth/me, right? Let's just call it the me. It's much faster like this. And then in here we'll say that /me, which should return the current user. Let me close up my describe function, and now we have our describe closed. So in here we can see that we're creating a user offer. We can actually change this to, like, let's say Alex or something, but you know, it's still not different because we are dropping the database and we won't have any correlation. So we can say like alex@mail.com, which should still, you know, will still work, and we'll just need to change, you know, places where there was offer and say Alex. But if you see here is that when we create a user, instead this time we'll still need another callback because we want to sign in a user. So let me create a variable here that will hold something called the auth token. So because anytime a user signs in, it needs an auth token, so I'll create a variable there to hold it, where both our before block can access this variable and our iteration block should be able to access this variable. That's why I keep it here, but it shouldn't like leak outside of the describe here. So in here now, instead of a done there, I will need to get, if it was successfully created, then I will need to like send a request to sign in, but it should also be part of our test. Remember our before callback here, our before lifecycle method here, it's also a test of its own. So instead of doing a done there, we can just set it up to do like a function, and then this function will take an error as the first argument, and second it will take like a user, like that is the created user. So it's just the data, so it's just a user, so we know that it's gonna be a user. So first we'll check if it has an error, then we'll call the done with the error, but we'll return from it so as to stop the control flow. So I will return. But if everything was successful, then I wanted to make a request to sign in. So I will pass in my app as usual, and then pass it give it a post request, and then this post request will go for a sign. It will be a sign in post request. So actually, even to just do that, we can easily just copy it here. We can easily actually just take this whole test. Actually, this whole test can just be copied here because it's our before block is a test, so we're just testing that it should be a string, so that our before block will be well set up. We can collapse this and focus on our me block, but you know, we'll just set it up like that. Actually, we can just have an expect 200 and then say this, but since after we assert that it should be a string, we can then set it, if it was a string, then we can set it to our auth token. So we'll say instead of a let here, I can use it's a var. I don't want to start introducing you to ES6 or some ES6 features. So in here I can say like auth token should be equals to response dot body dot token. So we're setting it to this token, so that in this token here we can then easily make use of this down here. So in the me block, what does the me do? The me, what it does is that So this is supposed to be auth/me. So in here it should be successful, so we should return back a particular user. So this is not a post request, this is just a get request. So we are doing a get request to this, and we don't need to send in data because a get request does not have a body. We can only send in a query string, and we don't need to send in anything there. So how can you set your authorization? So for example, if we remember in Postman, when we want to set the authorization header, we'll just come to headers and set this authorization here. And so to do that in Postman, what you will do is set it here. But if you need to do this here in supertest, you will do a set and then set like authorization. This you set authorization and give it a value, and this our value will be our auth token that we set here. So it's gonna set the header and then expect like a 200 and then end the request. That it will trigger the request with the end here. So if it was successful, what we should expect? We should expect that there should be some certain properties on this, and that is where our should come in. So in our should, we need to do should response dot body should contain some certain property. So we'll use something in should.js called the contain equal. It's not gonna, you don't have to put in all properties that this object would have, but you're gonna put in properties that you likely know that should have, so that you can do some testing and know that it works pretty fine. So what I should expect is that I should expect it to contain equal like name Alex, and also it should return the email with name, let's say alex@mail.com. So we should expect it to contain equal this, and if it was successful, it will call done as usual. And now we set up me and this. So what's next? I currently have an error, so I need to check my TypeScript compiler for this error. So my describe block is lacking closing braces. So everything for me is set up. So we'll have a before block, which is pretty large in here, which all this before block is doing is connecting to Mongo, dropping the database, create a user, make a request to sign in, and if the user signs in successful, get the token, but it should treat it like a test. So we'll then run our test right now. So let's just CLS and let me run my test. We expected it to return 200, okay, but we got a 404 not found. So we have not yet implemented this route. So in here we said /me, it's a route get, and in here what do? We can come and check API. So we set auth and auth twice, so it's our mistake, and we can then correct it here. So instead of auth, we will set it back there, and now we can easily run back our test again and see if it works. And now everything was successful, so it's like sign up, sign in, and everything, we're testing it. And if we make some wrong things changing, like maybe we're not returning an email or something, our test is gonna easily catch it for us. So later on, when we continue to make changes, it's gonna just do some tests. You run your test and see, oh, does it work the way it should be? Or actually you can even run your test or create your test, your expectations, and give your expectations beforehand, and then later on when you are implementing it, you will just be running your test to check if it works, and you can actually have it watch and rerun whenever your code changes. That's like TDD. TDD, test driven development. You create your test first, and then after you create your test, check it fails, and then you implement this functionality, run your test. But in here we're just doing some behavior driven style, so we just make implementation and then write a test for it. And also is mostly integration testing, because we are not testing functions in here, we are testing, you know, how it works together as a whole. You know, we are testing your REST endpoint, so it's like integration testing, which is what I usually prefer to do. Now that's the basic of testing, and we'll go ahead and learn more.